Yeah.
So I wanted to interview you because you're doing a lot of really interesting things. You're very focused as into what I call the truth. Okay, that people need
Yes.
to really come into their own power to to heal.
Exactly.
It's not going to be some
Exactly.
magical being saving them or some guru doing it. It's and you're working this way with people. You're taking them right into that, bringing
Yeah.
the magic out of them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, I'll be responsible for you for the hour that I have you, but after that, it's up to you.
exactly. Because it is.
Yeah.
How can you determine how they're going to think or what they're going to do? You can take them to the door and you can show them the path, but it's up to them to take it, right?
Teach them how to fish.
Yes,
Exactly.
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 Yeah. So,
But I think that for a lot of my years, I was waiting for somebody to come and rescue me.
mhm,
And it was a very painful and long process. And
yes.
I just didn't really, it took me, nearly dying to realize, okay, nobody's really ever going to save me. I need to save myself. Because nobody even can save you from yourself.
No,
Especially when you're hitting that self-destruct button.
yeah. Because it's
Yeah,
inside you, the way you think that's creating
exactly.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what's creating your next moment. Really, if we take away all the fluff about reality and we take a look at it, everyone's standing right on a precipice and there's nothing in front of them. Now
exactly. Or
they're either
there's nothing
sitting,
above them either.
yeah, they're either sitting back
Yeah,
and uh, letting their own thought processes create the next moment, or they're sitting
yeah,
in peace and actually saying, I desire this thing and that thing. Wouldn't this be interesting?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're stressing out about everything, worried about the future, and going, "See, I told you that was going to happen." I'm like, "Well, you just manifested that. Yeah, of course. You're pulling it towards you with great force."
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I've experienced that too. That's kind of I knew that was going to
yeah,
happen. Well, of course, you were talking about it for a week. You manifested it
yeah,
right out of the ethers. There you go. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And I think a lot of the times people get so stuck in certain sensations or certain memories triggering traumas in their life. And so a person or situation will remind them of a trauma that they haven't healed. And then they'll project their trauma onto the future and they won't like that person, or they'll stay away from that job, or they won't go into that situation when it's a completely different thing, but you're being triggered into alignment. Like, that pain is calling your attention. It has nothing to do with the present situation of the person.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've all had, and isn't it interesting how it's just these same, uh, beginning traumas that just manifest themselves in different ways.
Exactly.
Got to go back and clean that up. You're not going to run away from it, right?
No. You're going to run with it.
And right into it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But you said something the other day about the subconscious that really, really has just had me thinking ever since. So, what do you believe is like the mechanism that's controlling us when we're doing things that are completely out of character, and we're responding in ways that we're going later going, well, why did I do that? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
What do you call that?
that part is just sitting in that box of confinement. The higher part, the greater part of you, the inside you, I don't say it's outside of you, but inside of you, is much freer than that. But we have suppressed that freedom. to live in the box, and then we're just repeating patterns. We're just repeating the same patterns over and over again. It really isn't anything like, okay, put it this way. In studying this, I realized that certain people in the past caused us to fight against our own self inside. And so they called it a subconscious, subconscious mind. And then everybody hates their subconscious because it's full of these behaviors that keep popping up that they have no control over. And so, but creating that hatred inside, or that anger towards that part that you're never going to get at it. I mean, you've been in this long enough, that you'll never get to the end of all the things that could possibly be a belief or anything else. Well, I hit that point and went, hey, what's going on here? We've got to be able to pop out of this, right? So anyway, I looked at that subconscious aspect, and it says below consciousness, but yet, because that's what subconscious means, but yet when I was working with it, what I thought was the subconscious, it would do miracles. It would, all of a sudden, miracles would happen.
I've written that. Yeah. It holds your true potential. Exactly.
So if something holds your true potential, then it's not below consciousness. It's not sub. It's above consciousness. And so I started to play in those areas of treating that aspect of you and everyone else differently. Seeing it as...
Gotcha.
So if I was going to do a projection,
I get it. Like, I totally get it, because no matter which way you look at it, it's just like going at it with healing and going like there's something wrong with you and there needs to be healing. And there's always going to be that aspect that's not going to heal, because it's going to always feel like there's something wrong with it. And if you're going at it, I've always run into this with the subconscious mind. It's like I can see all of the great potential and the beauty and all of that, but I can't get some of my clients to get out of these patterns where they're in a war against themselves, and where they're trying to take an aspect of them and make it not exist anymore. Or when is this going to be over? And I'm like, it's never going to be over. And you need to learn how to love each and every aspect of you, because you're never going to find a mask or a wall or anything big enough to cover that or get it away from you. Right. So if you want integration, then you have to come to love even the ugly aspects, but mostly it's just projections of others that you've accepted as your truth that makes you feel like it's ugly.
Yeah. And as well, whatever you put your awareness on becomes more. So if your focus is on how damaged you are, you're just going to become more and more damaged. As soon as you put it on something else and create a new vision of yourself and focus on it, then you start becoming healthy, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I think you probably know there's some folks that have gone down that trip of doing stuff in the past, and they're so stuck there. They just can't seem to get out of that, right? Because it's all really how you feel in the present moment that creates your next moment. And by them being trapped in that, they can't get out of it. And it's all about awareness, where, and self-value. Do you value yourself? Do you believe that you are source energy, right? I know you do.
Yeah. But I mean, I took a few years really owning and loving every aspect of me. Like having to find a positive, because it got to the point where I couldn't even stand to hear myself talk. Even my internal voice, my external voice, everything just annoyed me, and I hated it, and I just wanted it to go away. And it got to the point where I was like, God, there's nothing about me that I love. Every single thing that I would focus on that was external, that would be my point of focus and be like, oh, I really love this about me, it all fell apart until I had nothing left. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to find a lovable aspect in each of these unlovable things. And I started to see my strengths. And one of my strengths is that I've always been able to see somebody in their highest and best state. Like, I don't, when somebody says something that is self-hatred or, you know, just going against themselves, it's always been like a meditation bell in my head for me to direct them in a more positive approach, or seeing, like, showing them what I see in them. And it's never been like work for me. That's why I developed my business around helping people find their purpose, because it's not
Yeah.
something that is work for me. Like, I can, if I spend some time with you, I can naturally see you in your highest state. It doesn't take effort for me.
No. And the thing that is, anyone that was really, really important in shifting people had that view in some way or another. That's what made them so, made it so successful in their practices, is the fact that they would look at that person and see the greatness within them and hold that for them, that vision. And when that happens, that becomes like an intention for the session. You hold that vision, and the person can wiggle with the behaviors and societal hypnosis and everything that went on, but eventually they're going to come at the end of the session to that vision, right?
Yeah.
And you hold that.
It's just like when I will walk into a hospital or something, I feel like I like grew up in a hospital, because my mom worked in trauma medicine and she worked nights, and she was a single mom, so a lot of the times I would go to the hospital with her and sleep in the spare room or whatever. And I would always look at everyone, and I never saw sickness, and I never understood when people go into commiserating and sympathy and all of that, those negative downward spiraling emotions.
Yes.
Like, I've always just seen somebody in their highest state. Yes, I know whether or not somebody's choosing to exit this life, but I still don't see them as something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
So, like, I got asked yesterday, how long have you been a healer? And I was like, well, I was kind of born this way. Like, I've always been able to put my hands on somebody and heal them. Like, it was just a natural. And my grandmother always saw that, and she really nurtured that and taught me a lot. So I really appreciate that. But it wasn't until like a year and a half ago that I started doing this professionally. So.
Well, thank God you did.
Thank you.
And keep going, because people need you to get their bearings back. You know, there's so much confusion out there in the world.
Yes.
And so much, you got to do it this way and you got to do it that way. You don't have to do it any freaking way.
No, you have to do it your way.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing. Your personal relationship with source energy is sacred. And what you get is information as to what to do. That client, by you being the facilitator of that, and that's what you need to do. It's not about my way.
I feel like healing work is very intuitive as well. Like, yes, I practice metaphysical anatomy healing, and I absolutely love it. But sometimes people are so disconnected from their own bodies that they can't tap into an emotion. They either think that they feel everything, or they don't even really have a clear, like, they've distanced themselves so much from allowing themselves to feel. Yeah. That unless you take them back and kind of like tap into, you know, what it felt like when it first happened and things of that nature, like, it's hard for you to get there, because you can't do all the work for them. I mean, I had a healing session with my friend's sister, and I mean, it was very clear that she kind of didn't want to be there. And I've never had a healing session where it felt like I was like coercing somebody into it. Like, it was a very awkward situation for me.
Yeah.
So I just called the whole thing like a parody of a healing session, because I mean, she's a stand-up comedian, and obviously, like, I mean, it shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have gone that way, but we just made the most of it and made it into a comedy hour, basically. But it wasn't as if I was making fun of healing. It's just, I'm not going to force somebody to be somewhere that they're not. Like, I'll meet you where you are.
Exactly. That's what you got to do. You got to meet people where they are. You have to. But there's a lot that can be done, as you know. There's almost a language that goes along with this forward focus and seeing them. There's a different language than what's spoken in everyday life, you know.
Yeah.
And this language in itself holds a vibration as you speak to people, and that language and that vibration frees them as well. And you could do that talking to a comedian in a comical way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm sure you did.
I'm not going to look at her as if she needs healing. So,
yeah.
I mean, I guess we all have like our own perspectives and things of that nature. But I feel like unless somebody is, I feel like most people that get the most out of what I do is they find me in crisis. They find me when they've tried everything else and nothing's working, and they're at their breaking point, and they will do anything to find relief. And what I do is so different than a lot of the other modalities, and I don't know why, but I think probably because I'm naturally like an activator or a catalyst. So, I mean, my entire life I would go into an elevator, I wouldn't say anything, and I'd have people crying or telling me their life story, or I'd really trigger people by just being me. And I never understood it until I realized what it was used for. And it's, I can either activate you or catalyze you, but it's not like it's my malicious intention.
Oh, no,
it's just what I do naturally.
Yeah.
So I choose to be very conscious about it and know when I'm tapping that wall or pushing that person's buttons or something, and back my energy back, so that I'm not like forcefully, because I can be kind of forceful, and I don't mean to be, but my energy is very forward driving.
Yeah.
So.
So this isn't what you do, this is who you are.
Yes.
And so then you can never be fired.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a mentor that said, well, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? And I was like, that's not really an option. Like, it's not.
I had to say that to myself quite a few years ago, when I had still 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you know, quite a few years ago. And I was like, you know, this isn't going to work with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You know,
why did you have 1 foot out?
I had 1 foot in, and then I had a lot of pressure to go back to working the oil rigs and doing all of that for the money aspect of it, right? And I made the commitment. I said no, because this isn't what I do. This is who I am, and I'm not giving up on me. Right?
Yeah.
And then it was just.
I mean, I'll feel myself pump the brakes. Like, I'll get so busy and I'll be going in the flow, but because like I'm a single mother, and even though I'm working at home, if I'm with a client, my attention's not on her. So I feel myself when I pump the brakes, and that's why I have been putting it out there that I want to start a community, and I don't believe that I can do it on my own without messing her up in some way. I mean, I just don't think that it's humanly possible. So, I mean, I've been trying to manifest that, but I feel when I push the brakes, it's like I can't manifest a client to save my life. I'll go from being so overbooked that you know, it's just I'm literally just going off of my schedule or telling me who's next, to not being able, and then Facebook won't let me post to groups, and they block me every time I post a video, and I'm going, I know I'm pulling at the energy, but I don't know how to make myself stop and go back into the flow. So it's like I know how to do one or the other, but the moment I push the brakes, like I have to be very mindful of what I want in that moment, or else I can like strangle it to the point of there's no movement.
And you don't really even know why you put the brakes, right?
Well, it's just because like I don't have help, and I can see that my daughter needs me. I can see that like this area is lacking, or that I'm, not paying attention to this, and so I will pump the brakes so I
I'm
can
asking because I
refocus.
experienced that too. I'll have a flush for like 3 months where I can't even whatever, and I get to a certain point,
Yeah,
like I put the brakes on, and all of a sudden it just, all of a sudden you
yeah,
can't get an appointment for the life of you. You get cleaned up with
yeah.
all your appointments and all the courses you're doing and everything, and then it's like now, da, da,
Hmm.
da, da, da. It's a dry until you come into this place inside of you again where you go, wouldn't it be nice if
Yeah,
clients start showing? Wouldn't I love the feeling of working with, and then all of a sudden it starts up again, right? And away it goes again. But I
yeah.
understand.
No,
I
I
understand.
always know when I'm really like missing it is when I start doing healing work on like everybody I know for free. And I've stopped doing that because I've learned my lesson that like people
Yeah.
really don't put a lot of effort into their own healing if it's given away.
No, they
Like they
don't.
have to really want it. It doesn't matter the price range or the dollar amount. It just matters that it's an equal exchange of energy.
Yeah. And the thing that is that I experienced that in my life where I wanted something and I manifested the means to do it, and then I got it. So
Yeah.
a lot of times when we work this way and we give it too much for free or really low price, we're not stretching people in their ability to manifest, and we're actually keeping them in that, right, in that space. And there
Yeah.
came a time in my life where I looked at that and said, you know what, that's really not nice of me, because
Exactly.
I'm not creating a stretch for them, so that they can create it and then feel good about manifesting. I'm making it so easy for them they
Exactly.
don't even have to explore that. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a
Yeah,
time
because you
when
want you want to cater to all, not just like a
yeah,
certain class.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, and
So what were you saying?
no, oh, I was just saying that I was talking to somebody here a while back, a client of mine who's actually experienced what it's like to be homeless. Okay. And I said,
Yeah,
wonderful.
so have
I,
I.
because I've experienced that
Yeah.
too. And that's when the rubber really hits the road when it comes to, do you believe or don't you? Because you're not going to eat
Yep,
if you
exactly.
don't believe. And a lot of people don't get to experience that, and that's, a
No.
good thing or not, because I don't take away from the fact that I was, just about homeless. I mean, because I got to meet source energy on a whole different level. I mean, I really had to know that there was something out there to get my next meal. I had to go, like,
Exactly.
I mean, first there was the
But
panic.
you don't realize if you've never experienced like not knowing where your next meal is coming from, you really don't understand where people are at that are homeless, that are on the streets,
Yeah,
that do things that you might look at as bad or wrong or whatever. No, it's a necessity that they eat to survive, and nobody cares whether or not that they have a roof over their head or a meal in their belly. And everybody can have their own opinions about that, but it causes you to act and respond in a way that is just strictly survival
yeah,
mechanisms.
yeah, yeah.
And so it doesn't, I mean, people like to classify them as, oh, it's because of this or that. No, it's because they're in their survival mechanisms. And
Mhm.
instead of being so judgmental, instead of, staying alone in your separate boxes and judging, how about you go offer them a meal and see how they treat you different?
Mhm.
Because that's what I do every single time. Except for when I'm downtown Salt Lake or in California, just because there's so many that there's no way that I could feed them all. I mean, I would love to be able to, but I mean, it's truly an epidemic in America, and it's ridiculous because you go to a third world country and yeah, these people don't have a lot, but when they get something, they share with their tribe. They don't keep it all to themselves. We are so selfish. I mean, if you look at how much Walmart alone throws away every month or every week in food that is still good that they could go donate to the shelters, but they don't care because it's all about the self. It's all about personal gain, and I just think that that's disgusting about America.
Well, this young fellow that I was talking to, the same one, he wants to start up and see what he can do about buying a quarter of land and setting up these tiny homes for homeless
Yeah.
people, and start making deals with Walmarts and grocery stores and whatever to send this so that people can, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel these are some of the things I believe that you want to, with your membership program, to create as well.
Yeah. Bringing in facilitators of different modalities and people that also like create jewelry or anything that they have their own business, and that that basically I would go to them with my own healing or spiritual practice in some way, shape, or form. I want to create this community and put you on my website so that my clients get a range of different healing modalities and have the availability to have custom made jewelry that is maybe programmed with a certain intention, or whatever it is, because ultimately, I mean, I can't work around the clock, nor do I think that the way I do things is the only way. Like, I think that, like, I tell all of my clients, like, go try everything out. When you're going through the process of awakening, like, you need to go and dabble, or else you're going to get stuck in one lane that doesn't necessarily fit you. Like, you need to be able to try on all different things and see what works and what doesn't. And so to have a safe environment where we as facilitators can support one another and come together, and also so that my clients have an outlet so that they because it is scary when you're looking out there to test out different modalities and you don't know anything about it and you don't know the people behind it. I mean, it can be scary. So I mean, with the trust that they've already instilled in me, allowing me to do that legwork for them, I just feel is like one of my missions. So
that's wonderful. So any of you out there that is listening to this interview that would like to be part of a community, a growing community,
yeah,
get in,
in an online community.
Yeah,
they can email me at info@kendradivinepurposementor.com.
And your website
is kendradivinepurposementor.com.
Okay.
So.
And anywhere else that you want people to get in contact with you?
You can find me on Facebook. I think it's Facebook.com/Kendra Divine Purpose. And I think that's how they have it. Yeah.
So good Kendra Divine Purpose. You just look it up. .com, Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing about putting it all into a focused one thing, right?
Yeah, people think that my website's too long, but that's what I am. I mean, so.
You mean you're Earl?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, people don't type out those URLs anymore anyway. They just find the link and click on it anymore.
Yeah, true.
Because it was a day that you could type, back in the day when I started with computers, you had to type it all in. Yeah. But now it's like easy. It's just a hot link. You just click it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
where can people find you as well?
Oh, it's just simply Dwaine Hartman at hotmail.com. They can contact me there. My website is DwaineHartman.com. And Dwaine is spelt with a I, Dwaine. Facebook is the same.
Perfect.
Dwaine Hartman. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else
you'd like? It's all about branding, right?
Yes.
No, I mean, there's lots of other things I would love to talk to you about, but we're running out of time, so I would love to do this again, though.
Let's do it again. Okay?
Okay, for sure.
Sounds good. We'll do it again. But
thanks for chatting with me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds
Bye,
good.
Dwaine.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.